Alright guys, we are getting there. So we have our list of posts. We're able to add a post. Now we want to be able to click comments and see how it goes to post slash and then an ID. We need to create a single post component and also create a route for it. Alright, and then we have some subcomponents to create. So let's go back to VS Code and let's create in the components folder, in components, let's create a new folder called post, singular. Okay, and then inside there we'll create a file called uppercase p post.js. Alright, we'll just put a class-based component, we'll call it post, and we'll export it down here. And just for now, I'm going to put just an H1 in here and just say post because I just want to create a route for it. So let's go to our app.js. And this is actually going to be a private route. So let's grab just one of these switches with the private route. Actually, we'll go right under here. And the route is going to be, path is going to be post slash and then colon ID, okay, because we need to be able to get the ID of the post from the params, from the URL, and then it's going to load the post component, which we have to bring in. So let's go up top and let's just copy that down, and we'll bring in post from post like that and save. Alright, so now if we go back to our application, we click on a comments button, it takes us to the actual post component. Now what we want to do is we need an action that will fetch the post based on the ID. So let's go back and let's go to our actions, our post actions, and let's create a get post action. So I'm going to copy the get posts that we have and just paste it underneath, and let's change it to get post. And it's going to take in an ID. Alright, we're still going to do our post loading, and then the endpoint that we want is going to be API slash post slash and then the ID. So I'm going to put backticks in here. And in here we'll say ID. And then we want to dispatch get post singular, and we'll pass along the data, which will be the single post. And then if there's an error, we still want to call get post, but we want the payload to be null. Alright, so let's bring in the action of get post like that, and that should be all set. Now what we'll do is go to our reducer, our post reducer, and let's add get post, and then we'll add the case for it. So we'll go like right here, get post, and we want to return, and all we're going to do is return the state. And for the post itself, we just want that to be the action dot payload, because remember we passed the entire post in as the payload, which was the response from our back end. And then loading, of course, we need to set back to false, and that's it. So we'll save that, and now that part of it, that Redux part of it, is all set. So we can close up reducer and actions. Let's go back to our post component, and let's bring in connect. And of course prop types. And we're going to bring in, let's bring in our spinner. Let's bring in the action we just created, so get post. Okay. Now we're going to have some other subcomponents that we bring in as well, but let's just focus on actually being able to get the post for now. So we're going to go down here and export connect. Okay, so let's pass in here. And we're going to want to get our post state, obviously. So we're going to map state to props. And let's also pass in our add post action here. Not add post, get post. Okay, and then we'll do our map state to props. And we simply want our post state. All right, then we'll add our prop types. So this is what post dot prop types, and we have our get post, which is a function, and then we have our post state as a property as well, which is an object. Good. So now we should at least be able to see the post in the Redux extension. So we'll save this. Let's go back. And now if we go, if we go to a post and we hit comments and we look down here and let's look at our state and look in the single post. Okay, so that's not showing up. Let's see. Map state to props. We should be getting it. Oh, we didn't call get post. We didn't call the actual action. So let's go up here and in component did mount. We want to call this dot props dot get post, and we need to pass in the ID, so we can get that with this dot props dot match dot params dot ID. All right, let's try that. And now if we look in post, we have that post. Okay, if we go to another one and we look in here, you can see that it's changed from the last one to the new one. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually reuse the post item component that we created, which is this here. So I want to display this at the top of this page. All right, but I don't want to display all of these controls or the actions. So we're actually going to add a piece of state for show actions, or actually, I'm sorry, a property where we can basically choose to not display these on the actual post page. So let's go back here and let's bring in post item. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to import post item from, now remember this is in the posts folder, so we want to go outside of this into posts and then post item. Okay, and then what we'll do is let's go to the render and let's get our post from the property, from the props. We'll use destructuring. So again, we want to get post and loading from this dot props. We're going to initialize post content. Oops. Okay, so we want to initialize that, and then we're going to say if post is equal to null or loading is true. Actually, we want to add one more thing in here. We want to make sure the post actually is not empty. So I'm also going to do or, and we're going to use object.keys, pass in the post object, and make sure that the length is, we'll say equal to 0. All right, so if any of these are true, then we just want to load our spinner. So we're going to say post content equals our spinner. All right, else then post content. Why do I keep doing that? Then post content is going to be, let's pass in here a div, and we're going to put in our post item and pass in post as a property. Okay, and then we'll go down here and we'll create the Chrome. So we'll add a class name of post, and let's get rid of this. Let's add a container. Let's add a row. Oops. Let's do a 12 column div. And in here, I'm just going to put a link to go back. So this is going to go back to the feed, so all the posts. And we'll give it a class name of BTN, BTN Lite, and MB3. And we're just going to say here, back to feed. All right, and then right under that, we'll put our post content. Let's make sure I brought in link. I did not, so we need to make sure we do that. Okay. So let's save this and let's see what happens. So cannot read property filter undefined. Now, we're not going to be dealing with the likes and stuff. That's why we're getting this error. So like I said, I don't want the like button and all that stuff to show on the post page itself. So what we're going to do is we're also going to pass into post item a property called show actions, and we're going to pass in false. All right. Now we have to go to our post item, which is in our posts folder. So post item. And then what we want to do is pull that show actions from the props. So we're going to add to this destructuring, and we're going to say show actions. All right, now we only want, under this post text, this where the like button starts, we only want this down to this to show if show actions is true. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab from here, from that where that null is, that ending curly brace, to the button right here, and I'm going to cut that out. Okay, and then we're going to put in here an expression. We're going to say if show actions, okay, if that's true, then we'll put in some parentheses, else it's going to be null. Okay, and in these parentheses, I'm going to put in a span, and then in the span is where we're going to paste everything we just cut. Okay, so they'll only show if show actions is true. Now I want show actions to be true by default, so what we can do is we can add default props. Okay, so we can say post item dot default props, and we want to set the show actions to true by default. All right, and that should be all we need to do here. So let's save this and let's go back, and now our post feed should still work and should still have these. Okay, now if I click comments, let's see, so this should be showing the post without the actions. Spinner is defined but never used. Let's see, so we're showing the spinner, right? Oh, this is the wrong file. Post content equals spinner. Spinner equals import spinner from common / spinner. That's weird. Actually, that's not even the right file. Never mind. That error shouldn't have to do. I don't know why this isn't showing. If we go back, Click on that. Okay, we're getting the post in the state, as you can see. It's just not displaying for some reason. Oh, you know what? The issue is we're pulling post and loading from just this dot props. We need to pull it from the post state, so it should be this dot props dot post. That should fix it. So let's go back. And there we go. All right, so now it's actually showing the post item, and you can see the actions are not showing. They are showing on this, but when we go to a single post, they're not, and that's what I want. All right, so in the next video, we're going to have a form underneath to create a comment pertaining to this post, and then we want to list those comments below. All right, so we'll get to that next.